Right, folks, welcome back to another episode of Ear Candy with myself, Danny. Cruicky here as well. How you doing, man?
I'm good, bro. How's
All
you?
good. Brand new. It's good to see you, as always.
How's the bitch mode?
Spiritual awakening, as they say. It was fucking unreal. Best band ever. I think that was the 6th or 7th time seeing them. And hopefully again later on down the road. So close to booking up Europe, but we'll talk about that another day. Talk about that another day. And as always, it can't be an episode of Ear Candy without having some talent in the building. And today we have got Sanjeev, aka Supermann on the beat. What's happening? You all good?
Happening,
Good to be here, man.
Good to finally have you in here.
No.
Chatting for weeks, so it's actually nice to see you in the flesh rather than
man.
virtually on
A lot
Instagram.
of my mates I mentioned as well, like Mindset obviously was in.
And that's the
and
maddest
Never
thing.
Fine
Like
as well.
you've probably been spoke about the most by artists on this podcast.
It's pretty mad, isn't it?
And not just hip hop artists, we've had other bands. That,
Never Fine was one of them.
Yeah.
Who said they've crossed paths with you in
Aye.
the music industry. And you've been in contact with us for the early beginning there.
Yeah, yeah.
So, aye, man, it's good to finally have you
It's
here.
good to get you in
I
here.
know, I'm glad I'm here, man.
You know Lil Loff as well?
I do, man.
He's in here later on.
He's in here today.
He's in here
Aye,
later on
he's in
today.
tonight.
So
Nice, man.
you've got connections with everyone.
It kind of feels like that. Like, there's a lot of, kind of especially, I suppose, hip hop and alternative scenes.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of feel like I'm kind of in touch with a lot of the artists.
Yeah.
For sure.
You obviously make a good impression. You're good at what you're doing because everybody speaks very highly of you, so
Yeah.
which is a good thing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You've made a good reputation for yourself in the industry.
Yeah.
Say we keep coming across your name and then we end up speaking to you
Aye.
for quite a while. We've
good.
been speaking for a
Aye.
while, haven't we?
It's been a while, man. It's been a few months.
Been a few months, aye.
aye.
So it's good to finally get you in here.
Aye, get the building.
Aye, hear your story, your
Yeah.
musical paths and
Exactly,
whatnot. How did you get into music then?
So I got into music. It was pretty much lockdown, so it was always something I wanted to do. But obviously lockdown, I had a lot of time to try something that I always wanted to do, and I just thought like I found a DAW, which is like the audio workstation. It's like how you make beats and stuff. So I found a DAW called Soundtrap, and it was just like all online. It was really like user friendly.
Right.
And I just sort of went from there. I just sort of made beats, and then they ended up being quite good. And then
Was this like a website you were using rather than an actual program on
yeah,
the
so it's an
computer?
online program,
Right, okay.
but it's a lot easier because you don't need to download anything.
Right, okay.
And I just like learned through like YouTube tutorials.
Yep.
But it turns out I kind of had an ear for it because I've got no musical background. Like I didn't even do it at like standard grade level. Like I've got no music background, so
So you just stumbled into the field.
pretty much I kind of just stumbled into it. So before that I did journalism. I did a uni and I did like some freelance stuff for like the Scotsman and Daily Record and stuff like that.
Right.
Before that, so that was like where my sort of what I was originally doing. But then music sort of just fell during lockdown, and then it just sort of went for there, man. It just turned out that I just kind of had an ear for it.
I take it you were like a listener of music though.
Yeah, I've always like loved music, mostly like hip hop and metal.
Right, yeah.
And also like grunge is probably one of my biggest influences, like Nirvana.
Mm-hmm.
So like it was always something I wanted to do. I think that's actually one of the reasons why it's kind of went so well as well, is because like I don't really have a barrier like in terms of the type of music I make. Like it's so like it can vary so many different sounds.
Well,
like
that's
I'm
what
not just making like a beat that you would always hear.
Well,
Get
that's
what I
what I thought when I was listening to Mindset, because obviously
Aye.
you've done work with him.
Yeah,
and
we'll have to do
that's
that,
what I was saying to him. Obviously, he was right into his metal and punk and that, and I
Yeah.
was like, how do you incorporate that sounding metal into hip hop as
Aye.
well? Like, obviously, back in the day, you would have had like bands like Body Count with Ice-T and Anthrax and Public Enemy doing
Aye.
it. But I think with the beats that you've made, it's like more subtle
Yeah.
rather than just straight hip hop and metal. It's a bit
Exactly.
more subtle. Like
Aye.
it's just elements you hear in the background.
Yeah.
And I'd never heard anything like it, to be honest, when I
Yeah.
was listening to Mindset. And
Aye.
obviously you've got the hip hop beat with the metal on top,
Yeah.
and then he switches up his vocals as
He's
well.
rapping and screaming.
does
Like
that.
it's,
Screaming and all
it's
that.
very
Yeah.
unique. Like,
Aye, no.
very, very unique.
Especially like in the Scottish scene, because there is kind of wider artists, like generally that do it well. There's a guy called Scarlord who's pretty known, like the kind of UK scene, and he does a sort of similar vibe. But I've never really heard it in Scotland. I've never heard that combination of like hip hop and metal in Scotland, really, or even like just as you said, like something just not always like at the front, like you can't always like straight away notice it, but there might be like little metal riffs that come in and out, or like kind of just combines different sounds, like. But that's just what I love doing. Like I love combining genres because I listen to so many different genres. So like, I could never just do one thing.
Right.
And like, it's like every time I release something, people are like, "Oh, I didn't know you did that." Literally every time, because I'm just like releasing everything. And I think it's easier as a producer though, because I feel like you could kind of mix your sounds more. Because like I feel like as an artist,
You're stuck to that
you're
one
always
sound,
so stuck in terms
usually.
of like brand and how people see you, like your fan base and stuff like that. But I feel like it's a lot easier for me as a producer because people know that I'll always be working with other people. So like because I'm like an artist producer, which like is kind of quite rare. So I think people kind of know what to expect. But
So what do you mean by artist, like producer? What do you mean by that?
so when I say that, I mean like usually I would say like hip hop producers are just producers generally. They just like sell beats
Right.
or sell tracks, and then get like the split and stuff like that. But like they still get the split, but their name isn't typically attached to it
Right.
unless you go into the credits or whatever. But the way that I'm releasing is like I'm an artist in my own right, so it's like me and Mindset or me and whoever.
Right.
Whereas mostly it's just like the artist. So I think that's kind of why people kind of know what to expect in terms of like working with other people.
I think it's quite important to obviously have your sort of
Exactly.
stamp on it as well. Like, going back to
Yeah.
hip hop back in the day, like I could listen to a certain hip hop artist and I would know, oh, Dr. Dre produced
Exactly.
that. I think now it's hard. It's harder to tell who's producing stuff
Yeah.
like that because it's just a lot of people sounding the same.
Yeah,
Whereas
that's
before, so it's good that you'll have your own stamp on it.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
When I've listened to Mindset, I know straight away. I'm like, that's
Yeah.
Sanjeev, that's Superman on the beat. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
it's good, man.
I think
good.
it is cool to kind of have your own sort of thing that you do, and I think mine's is being like diverse. So like it's just a mixture of different sounds. But I think like in terms of the whole producer artist thing, I don't know if you know a producer called Metro Boomin. He's like a US producer.
No.
So he's a pretty big producer and he's sort of doing something similar. So that was like kind of one of the main inspirations. I think like with modern hip hop now, I feel like producers are starting to get more credit than they ever have. So I think it's good to see the producer get more credit.
Oh yeah, especially if you're a producer yourself.
yeah,
Like,
exactly,
you want
man.
you want
Yeah,
the recognition for it.
Exactly.
You want the recognition. Why
Yeah.
should the person singing on it get all the fame and fortune and women and all that? And I always think it's the producer that does all the dirty work. You know what I mean? They've got the hardest time. You just hear like the end product, but there's hours and probably multiple frustrations that go in with that. Final product's always brilliant, but no one actually really, knows what goes on behind the scenes. The process of it is frustrating. I can imagine it being very frustrating. So you were saying you started making beats on websites. Do you now use like programs, FL Studio, Cubase, anything like
so I
that?
still use Soundtrap actually. I still mostly
Really?
use
Yeah?
that, aye.
So you've
A
just
lot of
stuck
people
with
are
that?
Just stuck with that.
Right.
A lot of people are always surprised. But like to me, it's just like if it's making, as I said, like I'm not musically trained, so a lot of my stuff is like I've learned a lot now, but a lot of my stuff is like sample based. So it's more like arranging and like writing parts of it and stuff like that.
Right.
But it's more like, I guess it's the ideas that I feel like I'm good at, like how to combine different sounds and stuff like that. But I'm definitely like as a producer, I wouldn't say I'm as like technically skilled as the majority of other producers, but
Do you think that adds to your stature, but the fact that you're just doing it on your own, you've got your own kind of way of doing it, you're still using programs, and that's why people are picking it up?
I think so. I think it's also because like I'm quite good at like communicating. I feel like one of the biggest parts of being in the music industry is knowing how to like communicate with people,
Network.
and network and approach people. So I think that's kind of one of my strengths, and also just being so like direct. Like I'm like a doer, so I feel like I just get shit done. Like, and I just something in me that just gives me that drive, I think, just to keep like pushing and keep going.
Have you ever been tempted to try any software of that? Because I got my first start in making music with GarageBand when I had a Mac, like back in the day.
Yeah.
And I got to the point where I was like, this is too restricted. Like, there's just certain things I can't do with it. And then I found out about FL Studio, so got like a Windows PC.
Yeah.
And then got that. Honestly, see, the first time I opened it, I was overwhelmed. I was like, oh my God, like, how the hell do you use this? But I'm a bit like yourself. Followed a few tutorials, understood how it worked, having things offbeat, sampling, all that. And it kind of sort of came naturally after that. Would you be tempted to, obviously, what you're doing on the website, making beats on that site? You ever been tempted to see how further you could take it using a different program, or are you just content with just sticking to you know? If it's not broke, don't fix it, as they say, you know?
Exactly. I have tried like other ones, like Logic and FL for a little while, but it just didn't feel. I felt like I could be, because I'm just used to it, I feel like I could just be more expressive. And I think sometimes you can be more creative and break more barriers when you're more restricted. Like sometimes that can actually help your creativity, because it's like when you go to a restaurant and you go and see a menu that's got like 90 things on it.
You know they're all shit.
Aye. You're like, oh, fuck, aye. So if it has like 4 options, like, you get what I mean? It's kind of like that. So I think it actually sometimes helps your creativity, because sometimes when you've got too many options, you just spend forever just thinking about it and going through it, and
that
like
is
just
true.
overthinking.
No, that's very true. Simplicity into it.
Exactly, but
I'll say, like, obviously, I think anyone who watches episodes always have like a minute or two to talk about Depeche Mode, and I think this is the perfect time to do that. So, Depeche Mode, right? They went through a period of like going too far with the music, right? And they're my favourite band. They'll always be my favourite band. And I actually found like the albums that they were releasing in that time, when they were just trying to go like see how far they could push it, was actually the worst albums. The recent album they just brought out, they said, we're going back to basics, we're going back to what we were using back in the 80s and that, and just stripping everything back the way it should be. Turned out it was the best album they'd made in 30 years, because they were so limited to what they had, whereas the other stuff, you were hearing sounds and they just sounded all out of place.
Yeah.
They just didn't sound natural.
Yeah.
So you're spot on with what you say. Like,
it's interesting, because like I think some of my favourite songs are like just 2 chords and like 8 words. Like, so it just like, it doesn't even matter how complex it is to me. Like, it's just, if it sounds good and it hits,
You've
and it
kind of
makes you
found
feel
your sound,
emotional,
haven't you?
then,
You've kind of found the sound that sticks to you. You're known for it, and you can walk around it.
yeah, exactly.
and is that why artists come to you then? Because they know that you've got a distinctive sound.
I don't know about distinctive sound. I would say it's the fact that I do like every genre. So like on my Spotify, I could go from like pop to like metal to like, I don't know, I've got like a kind of down tempo techno one on it. I've got also, so I think it's because I've got like the ability to just like combine different sounds, and like I kind of approach it differently. Like, I feel like some people approach it as like a set box they're in when they're producing, whereas when I'm working with people, they know that they can get something unique and not like an AI generated beat or something.
Yeah.
Get what I mean? Like,
Comes
so
from the soul. Like, it's proper.
Yeah, I think that's why.
That's what I always said. Like, I would never give my Spotify at a party because it can go from Cannibal Corpse 1 minute and then right into Britney Spears the
Yeah.
next, and I just
Right.
couldn't have that happening at a party. Honestly, my Spotify shocks me sometimes when I'm walking down the road. It's fucking industrial metal to then Christina Aguilera. I'm like, what the heck? My Spotify's not got a clue what's going on here, you know?
I'm the
It's
same,
corrupt.
man. I'm the same.
Buggered.
It could just.
But it's good. It's how important. I've
Right.
always said this for years. Like, it's so important to have a broad taste in music.
Yeah.
Like the amount of times, like if I go to like a metal bar or something like that, and like people are like, oh, you don't look like the type who should be here. And I was like, well, let me tell you something. And you tell them like, oh, I've seen Slayer live and Megadeth live, and they're like, no way, you don't look like the type. And it's like,
Yeah.
is there a type? You know, like, should you look a certain way? Like, can you not just appreciate everything for what it is, and rather than be, you know, pigeonholed into that one genre of music? Because when I started branching out, listening to other music, it just opened my eyes up to everything, and you actually found I appreciated music to a different level.
But some people like the identity of it. I'm not an emo. I'm like a Mosher.
The thing was crazy. Like,
people like the
Yeah.
niche.
when I
Find what they
was younger and right into my punk and had like a big Mohican and that, like people would be like, oh, he must love Exploited and Subhumans and that. I'd be like, well, actually, I've got time for Baby One More Time by Britney Spears. They just didn't get it.
I think that's changing a lot, though. I think, like, with the past 10 years, maybe, past 10 years, I feel like that's completely changed because of the kind of SoundCloud era that came through.
Yeah.
So that was like a real, like, that's the music that is my go-to music, is like Little
SoundCloud.
Peep or X. They're like my go-to. If I had like, so obviously I listen to a big variety, but I've got like the go-to artists. I think they are the go-to artists for me because they really like, they were almost like the progression from new metal. It was like the next stage of where it went, and it like still incorporated that sort of metal, but it was also really melodic, and also like incorporated like hip hop and trap beats. So I think
Korn and Limp Bizkit and all that.
it
Yeah,
still
they're brilliant.
incorporated that sort of vibe.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of why it's changed. I think artists like Post Malone as well.
He's not a country artist, no.
He does everything, doesn't he? That's what I mean. Like he does.
Didn't know they like a live stream doing all Nirvana tunes?
And a
Yeah,
lot of time,
right,
man.
it was a couple of years ago, wasn't it?
He went on the
was
Country
cool.
Music Awards and sang with Mulligan Wallen and somebody else, and one of the comments was Post Malone's more country than most country artists. It's proper like, hillbilly country.
Yeah,
man.
Breaking boundaries, though, eh? That's the thing as well. It opens you up to more connections if you're, you know,
exactly.
branching out. And
I think a lot of people like of kind of my generation are like they're so open. Like most people I know listen to a bit of everything.
So how old are you then?
I'm 27.
27.
So,
So a young youth then, eh?
getting nearly 30 though.
31
Nearly
myself.
40, mate.
I just turned 31.
God.
Jeez.
That's right, but as you're right, probably the last 10 years, it used to be when I was coming up, like when I left school, or in school, you're talking late 90s, early 90s, and if you wanted to like a band, you had to fit into the crowd. So I say I like Slipknot, so in order to say I liked Slipknot, I had to go and put the hoodie on and hang about with the people that like Slipknot. Do you know what I mean? You had to fit into your wee niche, your wee category.
You had to be.
Whereas now, anybody can say, oh, I like that tune, I like that.
Aye.
And it's definitely been the internet, social media era that's
I
opened
think
up
so,
that, taking down the barriers.
Yeah.
Like, because pals I grew up with who were no needy, but skin boys, stopped hanging about with me because I started wearing a Slipknot hoodie when I was at school. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm no changed, I'm still fucking...
It's interesting because I think it gives you like, the more music you listen to, the different genres, it gives you like a different perspective. And I think that's what people just need to start like acknowledging everybody's perspective, because everybody's like what we mentioned earlier, everybody's like got their own story and perspective, so it's cool to hear that through like different genres.
No, you're 100% right there. It's good. It's good that it's getting more wide on people getting more freedom to express themselves. I'd say. You're not put in a category or a niche anymore. You've got.
It's like you don't. There's not the pressure isn't there. I feel like as much as.
No, I definitely
like,
been.
For example, when I was like when you said when I was at school, like there was like the distinct groups of people.
Yes.
That like were like emo or they were like goths, and then
When I was at school, we
Yeah,
called
I-
them moshers.
Sweaties when I was at school. Sweaties.
Edinburgh, mate. It's different. Different kettle of fish here, there, man. You call a worktop a bunker.
I call it what?
a worktop.
Bunker, aye. I stick it on the
Never
bunker.
had that in my
Yes,
life.
it's different, man. different kettle
See, I
of fish.
actually grew up in Ayrshire, so
Did you wear a boot?
Kilmarnock,
Oh.
and then recently Ayr.
What about Ayr College?
No, that's where I went to unis.
That's where I
Uh,
studied, man. It
Nice.
was nearly 20 years ago. Actually, it was 20 years ago. I'm coming up
So,
for
yeah.
37, so it was 20 years ago. Feel
a
old
while
now
away.
after saying that. But it was a good college. It was good to study
Aye.
it. It was good for creatives and things like
Aye.
that. I did like graphic design and things like that, but I was terrible at it.
That was,
Aye, I remember when I found out you done all that, and when we were in work, I was like, "What the hell are you doing here? Like, you're far too intelligent to be in a place like this." Because you
Well,
were, you had
I
you
did,
had a lot of knowledge.
I did a lot of different courses. I've still not got a degree to my name, though. That's the only thing.
Yeah.
I get fed up doing them. So I've done a few different things.
No,
But
I
I
used
did
to think you were a philosopher when I was hanging about with you.
Aye.
at work. I was like, this guy knows a lot of shit.
I studied
man.
like economics and philosophy
nice.
and shit like
that's
that, and
good.
history, and I
Yeah,
done
you-
it like creative arts. I did like advertising and all that as well.
Oh,
It was
nice.
like, but I didn't like it. It was history was alright, but it wasn't
That was my favourite subject at school.
history.
History.
It's good, mate.
Modern
Like, I
studies.
love history.
Same.
I can get right down the rabbit hole with it, as you know how many conversations we had. But it's getting very restricted now, and it's getting twisted a lot. So
Yeah.
a lot of people don't know actual histories to topics, but
No.
they think they do because of stuff they see.
Yeah.
But that was the crazy thing.
social
I was
media.
telling you when I was in Berlin, and I said to my mum, I was like, "Look, I want to go to like Hitler's bunker where he was killed or killed himself or whatever history says." And there was like a traveling group in front of us who they had like a tour guide and that, and the guy would not say Hitler, and it was like beating round the bush of
Yeah.
why we were actually there. So I was like nudging my mum. I was like, "I think he means Hitler," like that. Like, why can't you say it? Like, is it offensive to say
It's
the guy's
against
name? Like,
it's against the law.
I think history's there to learn from it. Like,
Yeah.
learn from the past mistakes that you
Yeah.
make, whether it was right or wrong at the time. Like, everything you can learn from. So why try and pretend that the world
Yeah.
is all daisies and happy places
Aye.
when it wasn't?
No, it wasn't.
There's times in history where it was horrendous.
Yeah.
And we should be taught that, and we learn from it so it never happens again.
Yeah.
But like you say, like I don't know what you would learn in history class
They've
these
banned
days.
the moustache in Germany.
That's crazy.
So there was like, I know a couple of people that fell asleep in airports and woke up with a Hitler moustache drawn on them. Run about trying to wash it off in case they get to jail. But there's a few things in Germany have tried to clean themselves for that thing, mate.
Yeah.
Which he's right. You should learn from it and say,
I think it should be there for people to
never
to
repeat it.
see this is what happened. But I think the only thing is that, like, for some people, it's probably like a trigger. So I feel like,
No, I can
in
get
terms of that, like, I understand why, but it shouldn't be like not be able to say the word. Like, I get both sides. Like, I get why people would not like it because it just brings back memories, especially if they've got like a background in it, or it's like family, or just like a situation that might take them back to it. So, like, get what I mean? So
I can get that. I can get that. Like, bring up bad memories or things like that. Especially.
yeah, exactly.
I can get that, but though you don't never want it repeated. So
No,
it's important.
exactly.
It's important you still teach them about it.
I 100%.
You know what I mean? The moustache is horrible, so I don't mind that being banned. You know what I mean? Like,
It was iconic in 70s porn, though. Back in the day. The old handlebars and moustache.
no.
Look at back in the day.
Aye, we went a wee bit off topic. With
Aye, let's get back
to you.
on topic.
Get back to your music. So obviously we've talked a lot with people who've worked with you before, but you do work with a lot of people.
I do it with that.
That must make you feel good because, like you said, you started this during COVID, so
Yeah.
it's only been a couple of years, like 2019 or something,
I tried 1920.
1920. For being so quick, so young in the business,
Yeah.
you've done a lot of collaborations with
Aye.
people. Who's kind of, you seem to keep in contact with them and keep collabing with them?
Yeah.
Is that just because of the networking? Like you say, you're fantastic in networking. It's
Yeah.
just because it's what you want.
Yeah.
You want to create up a catalogue of artists you're going to work with.
Yeah.
You want to be this Dr. Dre. Glasgow.
That's what they're calling you. I've seen those comments on
That
Instagram.
comment,
Aye, there is quite a lot of that.
Okay.
People calling you Dr. Dre.
I think it's just because like I like to work with artists of like so many different genres, like I mentioned, but also because like I think a big reason why I push so much is just to show people that it's possible as like a disabled person, because there's a reason why there's not, like, you couldn't name 5 disabled artists. Like, there's a reason for that. And I think the reason for that is just, firstly, like, access, which is something that I push a lot for, in terms of access.
Yes, we spoke
Yes,
about
we
that in the
did.
car. You can't
I
get
want-
into
I want
Is
to
it
talk to you
Barrowlands?
about
You
that.
can't get into.
Aye, Barrowlands, aye.
You can't get into it at all. Is that right?
No, not at all. So, like, access, just like buildings generally, but also like venues. Access is normally worse than like general places because like it's underground or so stuff like that. So I think it also goes back to like when artists are starting out their career. For example, like Ed Sheeran just started out just going to local underground venues, just performing all the time.
So you're kind of missing out on some of the new talent coming up.
Whereas, like, as a disabled artist, like, it's kind of hard to start to do that if all the underground places aren't accessible. So, like, that's so important for people at the start of their careers. But obviously, for us, like, it's a lot more difficult to do
So
that.
you've got extra obstacles at other artists,
Yeah.
which you have,
Aye.
actually. But you see, if you can't access some of the venues that you need to access.
Yeah.
So see, when you were talking about Barrowlands there, see the
Yeah.
first time you experienced that, did you actually purchase a ticket to go and see a show?
No, I've never been just because I know, like, from other people and, like,
Really?
yeah, I know.
That's
like, it's
fucking
not
heartbreaking, by the way.
It's
That
accessible
is
for, like,
heartbreaking.
Because
For,
that's
like,
one of the
band
best
shows.
venues it's ever
Aye.
been.
That's my
Aye.
favourite venue in Scotland, and I hate to tell you that.
Yeah.
Like,
No,
it's bullshit because you should be able to
You can't get
experience
into
that.
because it's renowned.
Exactly. It's like it's accessible for manual wheelchairs, but then like I guess that's why I'd argue that isn't the best venue if not everybody can get in. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
But how can they
Yeah.
be that like well renowned and like are respected as a venue and they can't
I
let
know.
certain people in? Like
Yeah.
what? Like how do you
I
change
think
that?
it's because they're listed building. I think that's like
They can't actually
their
alter the
reason.
building.
That so they can't actually like
So
change
yeah,
it 'cause it's
grade,
listed.
grade A. Is that what they
It's
call
just
it, eh?
yeah, grade A. It's like listed. They can't do nothing
can't
to the
touch it.
building. Which surely they can make exemptions. That's what you should say. Like all you're asking for is ramp access.
I know.
That's it, it
I
should
think
be,
it's
like,
because it's like a
accessible,
big
like-
flight of stairs.
To modernise
If
it,
they had a
should be
lift.
making it accessible.
If they put in a lift,
Exactly.
they can. Something to do with planning permission. Then it would be if it's a listed building.
Yeah.
Surely they can work something out, but man, because it is one of the most iconic venues in the city. Definitely the best venue in the city.
Yeah.
Not the
Even, like,
Hydra's a big shiny thing, but
I hate the
oh,
hydro.
it's fucking
Hate
terrible.
the
I think
hydro.
like it seems to be more of like see like smaller venues like kind of 100 200 cap, like they're mostly like not accessible, like in Glasgow, especially as a performer, like there's like 2 or 3 venues that I can actually perform on stage.
I think the smaller ones, they just expect like piss heads off the street to just come in. Oh, there's a gig going on. We'll just they go in. There's no much planning.
Yeah, exactly. So
And-
like
So is that access to the building? Is that access to the stage?
both, but mostly stage. Like
I was going
The
to say, 'cause
venues
most of them
that-
are just stepping
aye.
up onto the stage, aren't they?
Cause the venues that like I can get in, the majority of them don't have stage access. Especially when I'm talking to small ones. I think it's quite difficult because like as a promoter as well, like I run Hip Hop Scotland.
Yep.
It's kind of limiting for us that we can really pick certain venues because of the access.
So has there
issues.
been certain people that you've produced music for and you haven't been able to see them live because of this? Or do
There's
you-
been quite a lot. There's been quite a lot.
Really?
Not like through Hip Hop Scotland, but there's been shows where like people that I know, like my mates, have been performing, and I haven't been able to go.
That's
go and see
criminal.
them. Especially my mate Tariam, who's one of my good friends. He's a comedian,
Right.
and I'm still not able to see him perform because
The venues he's booking.
like all the venues. It's not him booking it. It's like just the ones that he's been booked on. Like, I mean, like the shows, and
Right.
obviously he can't. He's not going to turn it down because he's getting paid.
He
like,
needs a gig.
He needs the money.
He needs the
so
money.
like, so that's like kind of annoying. But I guess that's kind of why I'm trying to bring awareness to it. Because last year I launched like a petition to try and push for that. I didn't really get the signatures that we kind of hoped for, but it got a lot of like awareness, and I think that's mainly what
It's a bit of a scumbag mentality. It's like out of sight, out of mind. A lot of people think if I can get in here, a lot of people can.
Yeah.
But I know myself and like in work that I've been doing, I've had to deal with people that would have disabilities and that. So I understand it's not as easy as just walking up a flight of stairs and actually and watching a show.
Yeah.
There's other people that don't have that luxury. But I
But,
think in this day and age, it's absolutely outrageous that there's certain people like yourself that can't have the same luxuries as I have just because of something that you didn't ask for. That's bullshit. Like, I don't like that at all. I really, really don't like that.
It is annoying, but then like I kind of feel like I don't expect people to know because like I think some people do, and I think that's when you can get it makes you get down because you're thinking, you get what I mean? Like it kind of makes you get a bit down about it. But like, I guess the way I think about it is that, I don't know. The way I think about it is that it's not like something that's wrong. Like people aren't gonna just know when they've not had any experience of it.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, like I think it goes a lot deeper than me like not being able to get on stage. Like it goes back to like institutional like biases towards disabled people. So the fact that like up until maybe 50 years ago, you didn't really see disabled people outside.
That's right, yeah.
The fact that you didn't like it's only literally been the last maybe 40 years that you would actually see a disabled person go to the shop, like simple stuff like that. And I think it kind of goes down to that. So people just don't really expect it, and because of that like unconscious bias and like training over time, like they just don't think about it. Even like books, or like films, like every James Bond villain has had like facial disfigurement, like stuff like that. That you might not think it's affecting your thinking, but
It does.
subconsciously over like hundreds of years, like it has been with disabled people. It's similar. Like,
That's right. I've never actually thought of that before. When you do think of some villains, and they do have
Majority of them.
deformities in one way or
Exactly.
another, and it's a bit of a little bit of a laughing stock, like taking the piss. You know what I mean?
It's funny you say that.
Yeah, I've never thought of that.
I've kind of thought it recently because I have an invisible disability.
yeah,
But I was very naive to it until, in my opinion, I believed I was discriminated by someone, which I can't really speak too much on. It wasn't until that happened that it kind of opens your mind a wee bit more.
Yeah.
Whereas I was totally naive to the stuff, do you know what I mean? Like,
I think most people are, but then again, like, again, it's not really their fault. Like, it's not someone's fault. They're not trying.
everybody's in
to
their own
do
wee
that.
bubble. And it wasn't until my bubble get burst that I started thinking outside it.
Yeah,
And going, wait a second here. That's not right.
yeah,
I've actually got quite a nice wee story that you can touch on with that, because I've always, been aware of other people and what they're going through and whatnot. I was at a gig at the end of last year in Edinburgh, and I left the party I was with to go outside to have a puff. So I'm standing outside having a puff, and this lassie comes out, and I went, "All right, Erin." Sorry. I went, "All right, how you doing?" I don't want to say her name. So I went, "All right, how you doing?" Just said it anyway. I said, "All right, all right, pal, how's it going, eh?" And she's like, "Oh my God, Daniel, it's so nice to see you." And that, like, so she had Down syndrome, but she was in the same year as me at school, eh?
Yeah.
And she was like, "Oh, it's so lovely to see you." She starts crying her eyes out. She's got a carer or whatever, eh? She starts crying her eyes out. I'm like, "Oh, what's wrong, pal? You all right?" She goes, "No, I just want to say that you don't realise the impact that you had on me in high school." And I was like, "What do you mean by that?" She goes, everyone was bullying me and that, but you were always the one that would say, "All right, how you doing? Like, do you want me to say anything to them?" She was a lovely lassie, got bullied like really, really badly. And she was like that to me. She was like, "Is there any chance I can get a picture of you and we can put it on my Facebook and all that?" I says, "So you treat me like I'm a celebrity?" I said, "Of course you can get a picture." I said, "You're my pal for high school. Like, you don't need to ask that."
Nice.
For me, I was kind of like, it's nice. I didn't realize at the time I would make such an impact on someone's life, but
Yeah.
I feel like that was just me being a human.
Just being normal.
They just being normal.
Just
Like,
being a
see the
nice
people that
guy.
were bullying her and calling her like the M word and all that. I'm
Yeah.
just thinking they're not normal. You know what I mean? They're the ones that have got an issue,
Yeah, exactly.
not the poor lassie that
Yeah.
they're bullying. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's horrible. world
I think
we
a
live
lot
in.
of the time
Horrible.
it does come from like insecurity. Like it comes from their insecurity rather than you.
100%.
Like I think most of the time, like people don't deliberately try and be like a dick to you. Like I feel like 99% of people aren't going out their way.
Do you think it's just ignorance?
I think it's just ignorance and also just ignorance
Immaturity.
that they don't see it and like insecurity on their part. So maybe they're feeling insecure about a part of their life and then it just projects and like it's just deflected onto the outside. Get what I mean?
But
Like,
did you get hassle in school yourself?
not
or
really, man.
Are we
Not
all
really.
right? Aye?
No, it's, I didn't really get any. It was maybe like the beginning at like primary school, but not really nothing much. I've never really had any sort of distinct like hate, I would say. I would maybe have like somebody maybe saying something ignorant because I just haven't really thought. But I've never had like actual hate or like actual I've never had that.
Yeah, it's funny because you can distinct between the two. People just being ignorant,
Exactly.
saying the wrong thing, think they're being funny.
Yeah.
For actual hate, it's
Aye.
just some people can't do that.
Yeah.
Some people can't find distinct the two of them between the two of them.
No, I think there is like a distinct difference. And I think it's sad that sometimes like it's people that can't see the two sides of it. But I guess I can understand it, but I just feel like people are really sensitive now than they've ever been.
Do you think society's getting better with it or worse?
Better. It's definitely getting better. It's always getting better over time. Especially for disabled people. People are like more open, I think, than they've ever been.
Before?
People are often more open.
Do you
to
think
it.
that's a generational thing? Because obviously I've had my experience with certain
Yeah.
generations that aren't necessarily bad, just like you say, maybe ignorant
Yeah.
or lack understanding. So I've
I think there
experienced it
is,
myself.
aye.
It's more a lack understanding because when you do explain to them the mindset or what they
Yeah.
were thinking actually changes a wee
Yeah.
bit. Maybe a lack of knowledge.
I think it is, man. I think people like because it's not really like you don't, as I said, like you don't really see it on telly. So like people aren't gonna like go away and like spend half an hour like to Google even though it's right there. Like I feel it's definitely a generational thing. I feel like the younger generation is definitely more open. Kind of like when we went back to talking about like music and genre and people being more open. I feel like it's the same with kind of every aspect. I feel like most people, my generation, are a lot more open to different types of people. And I think in Scotland, it was always maybe like it's not the most multicultural. Well, Ayrshire wasn't exactly the most multicultural place. So
No,
like,
it's
you
a
didn't really
predominantly
see
very
anybody.
distinct
Aye,
place.
exactly. You didn't really see like even else and most people. I don't think there was anyone else that was like Indian or black in my whole school. Like I was the only person in
see,
my whole school.
I'm the same. Like, I grew up on the south side of Glasgow.
Yeah.
When I grew up in school, we had one Asian person at school, like Pakistani boy, Rahim.
Yep.
And that was all the way into high school, and then it got a wee bit different because I'm more on the south side.
Yep.
Like in Ardenne Primary and that. It's like just Hakeem really and his
Yeah.
family. And it is Glasgow, so there is that more diversity in Glasgow. But yeah, it's certain areas where more
Yeah.
diverse.
I think one point that's interesting about like school, they actually they wanted me to go to the council. They wanted me to go to like a special school, which is like specifically for disabled people. But the thing about them is they just put every disabled person in
One bag, one category.
bag, and like my mum and dad insisted that I went to mainstream school, and I'm so glad that I have, because firstly, obviously, like the education, like I was just treated the same as anybody else, in terms of goals and stuff like that. So I'm glad I wouldn't have went to uni otherwise. And also I feel like because I went to mainstream school, I feel like anybody that was like around me or like in my class now grow up to know that it's not different.
See, when you're talking about that school there,
Aye.
do you think these types of schools should be gone?
I think so. I think like
Or do you think
I've-
everybody should be
yeah.
in the one school area code kind of
Yeah.
thing? Like these special schools for
Yeah.
specific people, do you think they're a bad idea in general?
I think generally, I think the way they work now is because there might be someone with like learning difficulties, like in the same class as like me. So like it's not fair for both people because they're not getting what they need,
They're not
because
getting
they're
the right
both
level
if
of
they're
care.
both going at different speeds. It's harder to teach someone. Like it's harder to teach a classroom of people like all different learning
Yeah.
needs and stuff like that. So if it was more towards like their actual like behaviour or their learning difficulties, like that would make more sense. So it's
Make
kinda
more sense. So you feel like they're just getting grouped in together because of disabilities, not due to the level of intelligence or
No,
anything
it's just
like
like all one.
That's probably the wrong word, but
Aye.
let's face it, we do get graded at school. We get intermediate
exactly.
hires and things like
Aye.
that. You feel these schools are just lumping you in as a group of disabled people rather
Yeah.
than what level are you at English and
Exactly.
maths and
Aye, I
things
think
like that.
it's
So
true.
you're only getting taught in the same level.
Yeah.
Does that also
exactly.
go back to like what you were saying earlier about like 50 odd years ago? Like you wouldn't see someone with disabilities. Is it more of like an out of sight, out of mind
I think
thing like that?
I think some people get annoyed when people don't know, but I personally don't, because I'm like, majority of the time you only really realise something when it affects you, and that's just humans. That's just the way humans work.
It's human
Like,
nature.
we're not gonna attach to something that doesn't really affect us directly, and that's why I don't really blame people for not knowing.
No, well, that's it.
But a
Everybody's
lot of
in their
people
own
do.
bubble until they come out of
Aye.
it.
But
like
a lot
my-
of people are like angry that people don't know. I
Right.
feel like, as a whole.
Well, like me as myself, I always like to try and put myself in other people's shoes, and like it's, you know, like some people probably might not do that because it might be a bit of a burden to them or whatever. But like for me, I always think it's good and the right way to be is put yourself in someone's shoes.
Yeah.
Like, you know, as easy as it is for me to just, you know, fucking stand on a bus,
Yeah.
I know it's not that easy for other people.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't take it for granted.
Uh-huh.
There's everything in life. I don't take a single thing I can do in life for granted, whether it is within disability or outside disability. There's always
I think
things.
that's really a good thing because it makes you appreciate
Yeah.
life more when you don't take things for granted. Like, even no matter who you are, like, see if you treat everyone the same, and like, see if you just appreciate every part of your life. Like, it doesn't matter who you are. Like, there's a term called inspiration porn. I don't know if you've heard about it, but I've spoken about it.
Inspiration porn.
Inspiration porn.
Yeah, I like the name.
Yeah,
Tell me
bye.
more.
So it was coined by Stella Young. I don't know if you guys watch like TED Talks or anything.
Sometimes I've watched a
But
few.
she coined the term, and she's like a disabled, like public speaker and comedian. Her name was Stella Young, and she first talked about it in a TED Talk. I think it was in 2012. But basically, the term is that, like, people think that having a disability, people think like they feel inspired by disabled people, but for the wrong reasons. So, for example, they're inspired that we do normal things. Like, for example, if I go to the shop Like there used to be a shop I went to, in Kelly, and every time I went, there was this same woman that was always like, just that usual. Like I get it so much, so annoyed. They just say like, "Oh, it's good you're out. Like it's good you're at the house." Like
Patronising, eh?
like so patronising, as if like
You don't go
I
out.
never leave the house and like I don't have friends and like I don't talk to anyone and like that. So that's like example. And also another example is, do you know, like on social media when you always see like those posts and it was like, what's your excuse? And it's like maybe somebody with like no abs swimming
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah.
So that's like an example of inspiration porn. And like to a lot of people, they every time I say it, they're like, oh shit, because everybody's done it. Like there's no, I don't know anybody that hasn't motivated them. But the point is, that shouldn't need to motivate someone. Like the expectation of disabled people is like so low that we don't have expectation of like people are a lot more surprised when they find out I'm a producer than the next person. And obviously they're gonna be, but like why should that be the case?
Should be the case because it's your mind that makes you a producer.
Exactly.
It's not your body.
I also quite like the flip side of that, how like
It's
people with
interesting.
a disability can have a laugh at themselves as well. Like that thing that you were saying, like, what's your excuse? So I seen one like that, and it was a guy who had no arms, and he
Yeah.
was walking up like Ben Nevis, for example. And it was like, so what's your excuse? And it was a guy with no legs, like lying on the floor. And he was like, well, look at me. What do you think? What do you think my excuse is? And I was like, I like that.
That's
I
funny.
like that.
Aye.
You know what I mean? Like,
I do like
but I
that.
think that, you know, it's hard for me to say, like, you know, everyone has their own disabilities
Everybody has their own issues.
in one way or another, but everyone has their own imperfections. So for me, I would say bald. And I'll take the piss out of baldies all the time. I'll take the piss out of me for being bald all the time. Like when I was younger, spotty as fuck. I used to call myself pepperoni face. Like, it was that bad.
Aye.
I think there's a level of it where you need to be able to take the piss out of the cards you've been
Exactly.
dealt.
Aye.
Because if you don't, then you're just going to become a miserable
Yeah, I
mess.
think it-
you
You've
know?
got to, but you've got to make sure you're not you're not self-hating.
Yeah. Oh no. Of course. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know
yeah.
what I mean? Because
Yeah.
I feel sometimes you can go too far with it.
Aye.
Do you know what I mean? That
Yeah.
you're just ridiculing yourself to protect yourself from others ridiculing you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean?
It's like a
I'd done it when I was
mechanism, innit?
overweight. I'd make jokes about my weight. It was just because I was 24 stone, and it was to. Well, if I can laugh about it, other people might not make as many jokes. And
It's like a mechanism to deal with things, isn't it?
Oh, I see what you mean.
Do you
It's
know
like
what I mean?
taking
Like,
the
if I
piss.
see it,
Aye.
like you know what I mean. Like people that do that, I generally think they're trying to try to put up a shield, saying, "Well, if I make a joke about myself, somebody else won't have to." Then
I never see it like that, but I get where you're coming from.
that's,
Yeah,
I'd say
get where
that's
you're
a
coming
lot to
from.
do with. And
I think it is. I think, again, that's like, I guess it's like your own mechanism,
it's a shield.
like to help your insecurity. I guess that's
It's
what
a
it is,
shield,
innit?
but yeah, and they'll laugh at you and you'll laugh back, but nobody really knows that you're walking away going, well, I escaped getting ridiculed there
Aye.
by ridiculing myself.
Yeah.
Jeez, I never. That's pretty
That's
fucking
interesting.
deep, man.
Well, it's
of that.
not always the case, but I can imagine.
Yeah.
I've done it
Yeah.
a few times in my past. I don't do it so much now.
No.
I'm a bit older and I've been through a wee bit more in my life.
Yeah.
But I just own my shit. But in the
Yeah.
past, I'd do it. Yeah.
I think that's a good point what you mentioned earlier though about everybody's got their own issues. So like I think see the minute you like realise that not like when people have different issues or different problems or shit going on in their life, like to one person you can't compare. Like to one person, burning their dinner could be like the worst thing. But you can't like that feeling.
It's not a
You,
competition.
you can't compare. Like I
It's
don't
not
know.
a competition.
People, I think in the past used to compare like, oh well, this happened. Like you can't. It doesn't matter what it is. Like it's different to everybody. It's like how you perceive
I'd
it.
say that like we all have our own different struggles and different
Everybody's
ways,
got their own struggles.
but we're all in this together.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? Something that's affected me in a certain way could affect somebody in a worse way and vice versa. So
Yeah.
you never really know. It's not competition. It's
No.
not. Do you know what I mean? You don't know the emotional damage that something could do to somebody.
Exactly.
So you don't know, like you say, it could be burning your dinner, could be a traumatic event
Exactly.
to somebody, like, and to me it's like, oh, fuck, I better order a takeaway. So it's a bonus. It's a bonus. So it swings on you don't really know the emotional effect something is going to have on somebody.
Yeah, exactly.
But that probably comes to more people should be more open and talk about these things, and
I think talking about it is just the way.
it's the way forward, because you'll
Half
never
the
know.
battle, eh?
It's half a battle, because if you know a wee bit more about a person, and then you're able to kind of navigate and work your way around that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's a good thing, like you say, creating awareness does that.
Yeah.
Oh, you see, you've watched my podcast, Labelled Disabled, before. And the amount of, like, messages me and Rosie have had through that.
Yeah.
Even from our own families, the amount of comments like,
Yeah.
I never thought about this and I never thought
Yeah.
about that. And I'm so glad you spoke about this, because I feel the same way. It makes you feel good as well, I'm not going to
Yeah.
lie. It certainly made me feel good about it a lot. It does. Makes you
Yeah.
feel good.
Yeah.
You're creating a wee bit of highlight. Like, you're coming on here and talking about your issues with the events and things like that. Like, you're opening the world up a wee bit more to the problems that you're living with a daily life.
And I think the more that
I
people
never thought
know
about
that. Yeah.
But I was going to ask, because obviously you said that you set up like a petition to get signatures. Like, did anything come of that? Did you get to stand up in front of anyone and speak to anyone about anything?
So what happened? We got a lot of. I got a lot of coverage in the media. So STV did a package on it. BBC.
Right.
Like all the papers.
Have you
pretty
been
much
in front of
spoke
like
about it.
politicians or anything like that? MPs?
No, I haven't. No, but it's something that I want to do
That's
this
got
year
to be
to try
the
and
goal
push
with that,
forward.
though, surely, eh? To actually have someone that can potentially
Yeah.
make a difference. It's all
Exactly.
fine getting coverage, but whether you need someone in front of you that can
Actual
actually make a
action.
difference,
Aye.
which in this day and age, I think is fucking
I feel like
ridiculous, and
it all
it's not
leads to-
accessible for everyone.
I feel like it all leads to, like, the more people that care about it, I think the more chance we're gonna get about really pushing it forward. So I wanted to, like, this year I wanted to do like I was thinking about doing like a fund page to like get a ramp to get on stages, and then also I would like hire it out to free to other disabled artists that
That's
like want a
fantastic.
performance stage. So that's something that I want to do.
Yep.
Want to do this year. It's funny because I feel like a lot of the things that I've kind of just done in my life has always just been like I've just ended up doing it myself because I feel like it's the bit. Sometimes it's the best way.
That's what a lot
to
of people
really-
It's
say.
just-
eh?
instead of relying
It's
on
just
other
to go.
people, I just go and do it. Like,
Yeah, I get that, mate. I get that.
'cause it's just like so much bureaucracy for everything to do anything like that.
I get that. Sometimes you're better off building it yourself.
Yeah.
A lot of people say that if you want something done, you better do it yourself, eh?
I done it here.
Yep.
I done it here. I built this. You know what I mean? Me and the people in this room all built this.
Yep.
And it was all done because, well, you can do it yourself and you can discuss anything we want to discuss. And do you know what I mean? You don't have to bow down to anybody.
Joe was interesting. I don't know why I just thought about that. It's a bit of a side topic, but I feel like, what, like the situation that I'm in and the things that I've done, like I don't think it would be possible if I wasn't disabled. Like that's kind of what I'm trying to get across is that, like, I'm genuinely glad I'm disabled. And see that statement, that shocks a lot of people because they're not used to hearing that. But I wouldn't have met the people I met. I wouldn't be on it here right now if it wasn't.
But do you know the thing
for
is
that
what you
happening.
say there, and I'm a strong believer in this saying, and it is everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what that is that
Exactly.
you're saying there. Everything
It's
happens
set.
for a reason. Like,
It's
even though that, like, the way I am just now, and the bad shit I've done in my life, and the horrible
Yeah.
things and whatnot I've done, and things that I'm gonna have to live for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
I wouldn't change it for the world
No,
because
exactly.
I believe that everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
For every bad thing I've done,
Yeah.
I've done a positive thing to
And
counteract
also that's
that.
how you learn. Like
Exactly.
you learn the most from like the most painful times, like in your life, and I think that's what gives you your like perspective. I think that's why I'm maybe so open as well, is because like I grew up feeling like I was different Like I never felt like I was a part of anything. So
Do you feel excluded for it?
I couldn't until music. I just never felt really a part of anything.
Did you
else,
never have
so-
like a community until you got into
music
the music?
community?
No, I had like at school.
Even
I
as a
didn't really have
journalist,
friends.
did you always feel?
I never really had like friends, to be honest. Like all the friends I had were all people with my condition. Like I never really had any.
So you weren't really outside of that world at all?
Not until I like uni and stuff. Before that, I was just like I was like a different person, man. Like I just had no.
So did you
I had
feel like you
zero
found
confidence
yourself through the music?
through the music, and that's like my people. I feel like my tribe.
You found your.
I found
yeah.
my tribe, and like through music. 'Cause
I love
feel
that.
like it wouldn't have happened without that, and just like the path to get there. Because, for example, in lockdown, I was like shielded, so probably wouldn't have started making beats if I wasn't shielded, because I couldn't go out for like 6 months.
Everything happens for a reason.
But if I
That's
didn't, if I didn't have a disability, I wouldn't have started music, and I wouldn't have met the people that I've met. So like, I wouldn't change anything, and I think that, like when I said I'm glad I'm disabled, I think that people are like, whoa, like that's not right. Like what does that even mean? And I think, that's like kind of how I feel like that's like my narrative is. That's what I want to show people, that like I don't need to be fixed. Like I don't need the cure. Like
Mhm.
I don't need that. Like
You
it's
just want
always
the same
about
opportunities as other people.
just want equity. Just want to be treated the exact same way. I don't want to be treated too like different in any way, even if it's treated like better. Like even if people are being
You just want to be treated the same.
I just want to be same. I don't want people to be extra nice to me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, it's just I just want people to be the same.
Yeah, I get that. Sometimes you just want people to treat you as they would normally treat you. I've had that in my life, so
Yeah.
I've had people that change towards me with illness, and then I've had people that gave me the same amount of wind up as they did before the illness, and you do appreciate that.
I think because people think that we sometimes the only thing that we know about or we talk about, but we know a lot more than just our disabilities. Like we can talk about other issues that has nothing to do with disability as well.
Aye, I think being disabled. But how long have you been disabled?
Since I was a kid, so 6.
Since you were a kid. So you've been. Became disabled in my 30s.
yeah.
So
I imagine that would be so much more difficult because, like, for me, I kind of got used to it.
you had to
like-
build your life up for it.
Exactly. So, like, even from 6, like, I knew that my life would be different and I had time. But I've always said that, like, it must be, like, say if you're, like, mid-20s and then all of a sudden you're paralysed, like, that's going to affect you. Like, that's going to take your life away.
That thing with that fucking guy. There's an English boy, and he had like got a disease for like metal or something like that, and he fucking woke up halfway through the night, like felt like shit and that. Went to the doctors, got anaesthetized. Is that what you say it when you get knocked out?
Yeah.
Right, got knocked out. Woke up, no arms, no legs.
Jesus.
Literally just a body and a head. It was a documentary online. It was fucking. It's a horrible watch, but it just goes to show you that anything that you have in life
It
can
can
go
be
taken
taken
away
in a
like
flash.
that, because the
It
guy
can be taken
didn't-
away.
The guy didn't know what the hell was wrong with him. He's taken to hospital, wakes up, no arms, no legs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that's later on in life. I'm sure that guy was like in his mid-30s. He had a family, he had a missus, he
Do you know
had
what?
kids and that. And
It's hard to take when you have a life and then
It's
it's
not,
turned
yeah.
on its head.
Yeah.
But once you get used to it, you kind of go, as much as I have hard times, I'm thankful because it helped me, made me better or stronger as a person because I've now had to deal with challenges I've never dealt with before.
and you've always got good buds around you as well, man.
I've always got bros
Same
around me,
with
do you know what I mean?
Come a wave.
But no, you're right. Like, it's a wee bit different scenario. You were quite young, you've been up with it all your life.
Yeah, it's different.
Where I changed in my
Yeah.
middle age.
Ah,
Well, realistic, I could be middle aged for me in 30s. So yeah,
Shut up, I'm getting to that stage as well, man. I don't want to be middle aged. I'm still a youth, man.
but it's a different mind fuck, because it is a mind fuck. My mind fuck's a wee bit different from yours, but like we were talking about earlier on, it's still the same emotions you feel, still the same fears, things like that. We just have different journeys,
Yeah.
but we're still going through the same emotions at all.
I think like knowing, like when you know that, it makes things a lot easier because you realise that everybody like can feel the same thing. Like it doesn't, like what we mentioned earlier, it doesn't matter what it is. But I think like when you said about like fears, I think most people's fears is like the fear. Well, I think it roots down to like the fear of like dying or death.
Yeah,
And I think
they're always a big fear.
again, because of my condition, it's made me easier to get my head around that. Because I don't know if you know my condition, Duchenne muscular dystrophy, so it's quite like life limited generally. But I think me knowing that has like just made me appreciate life even more. And I think you kind of spoke about that on that podcast.
I did.
That I saw.
I did. I used the words that you appreciate life more and think little things that people might take for granted that actually mean a hell of a lot more to you. When you do find that it could be something like he just said, you've always got bros with you.
Yeah.
And shook my hand. That means more to me than it would have 4 years ago.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah, yeah.
Like little things in life that people would take for granted, like a handshake or a pat on the back for a friend or somebody telling you a home truth, means more because you know about that person is in my life. That person, like, I'm at my worst part in my life, but that person's really there for me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
It does make a massive difference to you, I mean, especially mental health, I'd say. And little appreciations in life. It's a hard one. It's an emotional one as well. But, well, you know yourself. You've went from being in your bubble to being in the music industry, and all of a sudden you blew up as a producer. Everybody's talking about you, and you come in. Like I said, the amount of artists we've had come in here, and you say to me, "I watch your podcast. I love what you're doing." Both of us probably get the same feeling for that comment to each other. We probably both got that wee. I'm doing something good here, man.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? We both get that wee feeling there.
For sure.
So maybe like I can't speak for how Danny would feel getting that comment, but I can kind of relate how you would feel getting the comments because society is looking at us like we can't do, and we are doing.
I think that's also what gives us a drive, though. Like I feel like
100%,
that is
bro.
what gives
Fuels
me.
the engine, eh?
That's what
100%,
fuels
bro,
me.
it's
fueling it.
to
You want to prove people wrong.
Sure, that's exactly why. Like, I feel like I'm so public. Like, even like going back to the producer thing. Like, producers aren't really like an artist, but that's one of the reasons why I wanted to be an artist, because I want to be visible. I want people to visibly see.
You want people
that
to
it's
just
possible.
not just to know your music. You want people to know you and what you're doing as well.
And I want to like inspire other disabled people as well, because a lot of it is internal. Like a lot of that is internal belief. And I want to show like to other people, like to people like me when I was like 10. Like I did never in my wildest imagination thought music would be an option, because you just feel like you would need to like play an instrument or whatever. So it never even crossed my mind. Like I never even thought that was an option.
Mate, see what earlier when I was telling you about like GarageBand and FL Studio and that, I never played an instrument in my life.
Exactly.
Never played an All I needed was a MIDI keyboard and that was it. And I was ready to go. Like you say,
I've
you got all
never
the
played an
things
instrument
online.
in my life.
You've never what?
Never played any instrument.
Well, you don't
My
need
whole
to
life.
these
But the
days.
music is in your head. The creative side of it's in your head.
Exactly.
So you just need to find a way in order to
get it
produce
across.
that creativeness, which you've obviously done. Which
Yeah.
technology today is letting people do that, which is great.
Yeah.
Because you seem to have found your place in the world.
It's my calling, innit? It's my
You
purpose.
found your niche, the thing you were meant to actually do.
That's the reason. Exactly. That's the reason I'm here.
100%,
We're all here
bro.
for like our
100%,
own
bro.
puzzle piece, and I think that's the thing. Though, I'm just so grateful that I've found it, because so many people go their whole life without knowing
what they're meant to
without
do.
knowing what they're meant to be doing.
I think a
But
lot of
like
people,
finding
Hey, I
their
still
tribe.
feel the same way. I'm 31-year-old, man. I'm like that.
yeah,
Like that.
That's,
So what I'm
so
doing in
many
life, I'm
people.
like, that's not for me. It's not for me.
yeah.
Like work-wise, I mean. Like
Yeah,
work-wise.
yeah.
It's just-
Work-wise.
it's like, it's not me. Not me.
It's mad, like, because obviously we work together. That's how we met. We both
Ah, right,
workers,
okay.
and that
Nice.
is instilled into you in the railway.
Oh.
Job for life, pension, you're set up, and all that good money, blah blah blah.
All that stuff's
so,
good.
So you're programmed to think it's comfortable, aren't you? You've made it in life.
The whole night.
It's the people you've got to deal with, though.
Yeah, it's the people you've got to deal with, but you're
Yeah.
programmed to kind of
Yeah.
well, I can't leave because it's a good job, a good pay, and good that.
Also, the whole idea of like a 9 to 5, like, is like that's. Like I'm lucky because I'm not. That's actually one of like the benefits of. Well, I guess it's a benefit, but like, I don't think I'd physically be able to do a 9 to 5 job.
Probably not. You probably
Like,
wouldn't.
no, I don't think I'd be able to do it. Like, I would just be too. I just wouldn't be able to deal with it. I'd just be so tired and like.
It's a lot of different stresses to it, isn't there?
Yeah.
More the
It's,
people
it's
you
not
work
just
with.
physical,
Yeah.
there's mental, and there's
Yeah.
the environment, and then all these different stresses. No,
So if anything, like
I struggle with a
I
95.
would-
Do you know what I mean? Danny struggles with a
I think
95.
that's what I mean. Most
Everybody
people
struggles with a
probably
95. But
would.
yeah, I'm glad I'm building my own path in life now.
Yeah.
Like I'm seeing above.
Say broken free.
I've come out the bubble
Broken
now,
free.
and I look and
Breaking
go,
out the system, eh?
breaking out the system, and I go, that wasn't as comfortable as they make it out to be over there.
Yeah.
This is my calling over here. This is what I'm doing.
Just making your own path in it.
Make your own way in the world. Like, we're
Finding
all, I
it.
think, everybody in this room,
Yeah.
like, it's got that kind of mindset now. Is we're looking at our past lives and going, nah, this is the path.
Fuck a 9 to
This
5.
is-
Fuck a boss.
Yeah, we're all on our path
It's
to.
just
We're all
prioritising
on our
it.
journey. Don't get me wrong, it's not an easy journey at times. Has its stresses, it has its ups and downs and its setbacks. Like you're into production, you did a hip hop scene promotion. Like we've been putting together a gig and we've had our ups and downs with that.
I said not to make it.
Yeah.
These already broke
Sneak
the
preview.
broken the third chain there. The third chain's gone. Shut up.
But you know what I mean? Like we're learning as we go along. We're very new to this industry, and we're learning as we go along. But it's a learning that's
It's
going to
fun.
make us better down the line.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's the things that we've come up against. It's going to make us better down the line. And we're
Always
learning.
does,
It's
man.
like you're saying, you just done it on your own. Nobody taught you. You've got no background.
We're the same. Yeah,
We're just learning as we go. And like, do you know what I mean? We're loving it. But there's times you're like, it's hard work here.
Okay.
But you do
Yeah,
overall
I feel
love
that.
it. don't you?
All right, and we're going to need to bring this to an end now, unfortunately.
Aye.
So we've got other people coming in,
Nice.
and it kills me because this has been absolutely. I actually think this has been one of my
really
favourite
enjoyed it.
episodes, to be honest.
Well, no doubt you'll be back in here.
Aye,
No,
definitely.
100%. That's what we're going to say. Have you enjoyed your time on here?
I loved it, man. I loved it. Really nice.
Oh, we say
I feel really welcome and
fantastic.
just feel chilled
that.
and
Love that.
You're more than
happy
welcome
to
to
be
come
listening.
back anytime you want.
yeah, I think I'm in Dream Schemes.
Yeah, you're coming
I
on with
think I'm in
Megan
next
soon.
month, so
And there
There
might be
you go.
some other things in the pipeline.
we've got some stuff cooking
some
up. So
some
yeah.
cooking up, so
yeah.
we'll make some announcements for that
And
soon as well.
where can people find you if they want to find you
Yeah,
online?
you can find me on Instagram, Ask Superman, and also my Spotify is where you can hear my music. Superman on the beat with 2 N's.
Fantastic. Get you
Perfect.
on there. That'll have the link tree, all the links,
cheers.
to everything. That's fantastic. So if you're all right to wrap
Aye.
it up.
Good with that?
Cheers,
All good?
man.
Yep.
Good, bro.
Well, thanks for watching another episode of Ear Candy, and we'll catch you in the next one. See ya.